What's up guys, Coach Az here. It's been a while since I've just given you a simple drill. So today we're going to do a roundhouse kick drill, and this is really focused on developing your ability to throw this kick in multiple ways. When we get down to the essence of what a drill is, it means that we're taking a specific situation, scenario, technique, and effectively we're putting it on an infinite loop. We're repeating it over and over again so that we can develop the muscle memory and the technique so that we can improve the speed, the power, and the effectiveness of how we throw that strike. So today's drill is for the roundhouse kick, and in particular, it's for the 3 or 4 most common ways that you're gonna throw this technique, and we're gonna, like I said, put them on a loop. Now this drill isn't specific to any particular style, so if you're into Muay Thai, Kickboxing, K1, even Karate Taekwondo, you can take something away from practicing this one. I'm going to give it to you with a couple of variations and also a couple of different levels. So depending on your ability, depending on where you're at, you can choose how you implement it onto a heavy bag, onto the pads, or even with a partner. All right, so let's get started with the fundamental version of this drill. The idea here is basically we're going to throw the roundhouse kick in 3 different ways in order. Starting with the lead leg roundhouse kick on the spot. So this is without the switch, just literally lifting that leg and taking it straight to the target. We've seen recently how successful and powerful this technique can be. Rose Namajunas comes to mind of just lifting that lead leg straight up to the head, boom, catching that head and knocking people out. We're going to follow this with the switch kick. So this is the more common way you'll see Muay Thai fighters throwing their lead leg, because that switch allows you to effectively make that lead leg your back leg and generate a lot more power. Now after that switch kick, we want to finish back in our original stance, and then the third and final kick is going to be our rear leg roundhouse kick round to the opposite side, in this case for me, on the bag. Okay, so here's the fundamental drill. We're working lead leg roundhouse kick to switch kick to back leg roundhouse kick. Now if you've done this drill correctly, you should effectively finish as you started. The whole thing, every one of these 3 kicks should return you back to your stance and guard. And the idea, of course, is that we're practicing the 3 versions, but also we're really practicing the recovery from the kick, the ability to get that foot back down to the floor and get back into our stance so that we could follow up with a different technique if the situation called for it. Now, if you just wanted to practice that drill, you could stick a timer on for a couple of minutes and just work that on a bag. Repetition is the mother of all skills. So just getting down and repeating this drill over and over again, you're gonna see great improvement in your ability to throw that kick. However, if that all seems a little bit too simple, too easy for you, then here's some ways that you can mix it up. Firstly, you can start working this from a switch stance. Now the way you're going to do this is you're going to add a 4th kick into the mix. So we're going to do the first same 3, the lead leg roundhouse to the switch kick to the back leg roundhouse coming back, and then we're going to throw the back leg roundhouse again, but this time we're going to use it to change stance. So after I land that kick, I'm then going to land it as the lead leg. Now effectively what I've done here is I've switched my stance, and I can now repeat this drill off the other side. What was my back leg is now my lead leg, and I go again, lead leg round, switch kick round, back leg round bringing the leg back, and then back leg round landing the leg in front. So each time I go through a rep of this drill, I'm effectively switching stances, and it allows me to practice the techniques off of both sides. Now a lot of you probably just fight out of one stance, and that's absolutely fine, but for those of you that are experimenting with kicking off of both sides and switching stances in the fight, this is a great drill to just put those reps in. The big mistake I see when people are trying to get used to switching stances is they only throw specific techniques off of one side. That way you become quite predictable. So even though you're switching, which is quite an unpredictable thing, if you're only throwing a spinning kick when you switch, then people know what to look for whenever you go into that stance. However, if you've got a mix of techniques, if you've got some variety in the mix, that becomes a lot more difficult to predict. Now, regardless of whether you choose to do this off of one stance or doing it switching, there's some other elements we can add into it to make it a bit more advanced. One of those is levels. So with those 3 or 4 kicks, depending on which variation of the drill you're doing, you can decide what levels you work them at. You could work it all to the legs, all to the body, all to the head. Or the more interesting way is you could mix it up. Lead leg roundhouse to the leg, the switch kick to the body, the back leg roundhouse kick to the head. And again, feel free to mix up those levels every time you throw the drill. Try to change the start point and the finish point every single time. This ability to change the level at which you throw the kick quickly and hide it within your movement, within your fakes, makes it far more likely that you're going to land that kick when you want to. And another advanced principle to consider is the distance management. I've spoke plenty before about kicking with the shin or kicking with the instep top of the foot. Now, what this means is we can throw these kicks from different ranges. So you might want to start with that leg kick with just the instep. You might want to step in on that switch kick and hit it with the shin. You might want to slide back and go back with the foot to hit with that back leg roundhouse. Effectively here, you're challenging yourself to be able to throw that kick whether you're close or further away from your opponent. A big part of this is of course going to be how you recover from the kicks, and I spoke about that at the beginning, how you land out of that kick and what range that puts you in. And of course we're doing this on a standing bag today, but if you were doing this with an opponent, you don't know how they're going to respond. Are they going to push forward onto you? Are they going to simply hold their ground? Or are they going to move back or circle, use lateral movement to change the range of the fight? If you have the ability to kick with both your shin, your instep and your foot, it means that whatever range you're fighting at, you've still got a technique and a weapon that you can use against your opponent. Finally, you can adjust the parameters of this drill depending on what you want to focus on. So for example, you could do this as a power drill, throwing each technique with maximum force. It can also work as a speed drill, so you're just working on how quickly you can transition from one technique to the next. You can of course, and I recommend doing this one first, slow it down and just focus on the quality of the technique. Maybe video yourself and check that you're turning your hips, check that you're landing in a strong stance, maintaining some form of a guard depending on your discipline, making sure that you're pointing the foot away, hitting with the correct part of the foot. And finally, you can use this as a conditioning drill. So just go non-stop, no breaks, just keep ramping this out. And of course we know that kicks take a lot more energy than punches, so set yourself a 1 minute timer and see just how many reps you can squeeze out within that time. Alright guys, we'll take this drill away, give it a practice. I always recommend starting with a heavy bag or a freestanding bag, but you can also do this with a partner with focus mitts, and if you've got a sparring partner, you can kind of do a Dutch drill, go back and forth with this one as well. That's a great way of really feeling where the kicks could land and where the possibilities are, especially when we're talking about all that range variety. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you could do me a favor and just hit that like button before you go, it really helps the channel out. Please subscribe if you haven't done already, and I will see you on the next one.